you ready?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weeb Club. One of us is dog shit stupid. Hi, Nun. You're not dog shit stupid.
God.
I'm sorry. It was my fault. I'm a failure. Also, Vindy's dead. I mean, well, he's not here, but, you know, I think he's got rat problems. Like, as in, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of being,
stuff.
like, nailed to a cross right now. It's kind of a sad existence.
I guess that's what happens if you're Christian. Alright. Oh, yeah, comments. Fuck, did I even have... No, Give me a second. There were some comments I wanted to respond
going
to.
wrong.
There was nothing new on the Reddit, so I can, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I already checked.
Okay,
but
cool.
when there's nothing on there, I remembered to check.
Unfortunate. Did you have any comments to respond to while I try to pull them up?
I'll save the one that's obviously something you need to respond to, in response to the Mateus Del Campo comment, which he said, so the louder the Weeb Club member, the more law-abiding they are. All squeak, no bite. I feel like he's low-key always calling out Vindy. I don't know why, but after reading this comment, I feel like it's just all, like, came back to me that this guy just always calls out Vindy for some reason.
The hatred is real.
It's like, it's Mexican on Mexican violence, I feel like.
I was thinking about that, like, how do I spin this into a joke, but I couldn't figure it out. So, I hate this fucking computer. I hate it.
Aside from that comment, I guess there's the Titania comment, which just, you know, shoplifting isn't worth getting involved in usually, which I agree with.
Yeah, no, I agree. It might have sounded otherwise last time, but like I said, a big part of it was the environment. So,
No, I realized that you're actually the Suzaku of dollar stores and retail. I misspoke and said Naruto, but that's definitely a Suzaku thing.
I mean, I can't even say you're wrong. And not even just because I haven't watched Code Geass. Like, I know enough about Suzaku to understand you.
That's all the comments I have. The last one's obviously for you that I would mention.
You're just gonna have to give me a minute because my computer decided that the internet is evil and it doesn't want me to
I could just post a screenshot in Discord. You can look on your phone.
That would probably be better. That would probably just work better.
Honestly, all the comments would fit on a screenshot, so I could post all of them instead of just the one. Hold on.
Weren't that many, you're right.
I'm bad at taking screenshots all of a sudden.
It's fine. I actually just... Yeah, there, I got him. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, Master Spoon's comment is funny because I didn't get a reaction on the actual podcast, but, you know, it is how it is. Oh yeah, there's the fucking... I think this guy's threatening me. Yeah. I'm being threatened by a single large breast who said on September 23rd, 2027, this video will have to be renamed to Craftsdwarf's second most dangerous encounter. So,
what is he planning?
Yeah, it's I forgot about this one. It's terrifying, unfortunate.
I think what makes the comment better is I've never seen this guy comment before. It's just
he's
completely new guy to me, at least.
No, he's definitely commented before because I've commented on how his username is funny because it's singular. Like, it's not used as big breasts, it's big breast, like, just the one. And I thought that was funny.
Okay, I don't remember that guy. I guess he only comments when it's important.
Yeah, he knows. Alright, so, topic, which we kind of scrambled together because Vindy wasn't here, so we're putting on our actual planned topic on hold. So, I guess the first one, well, you came up with both of them, but the first one's easy. Mal is down. How does that make you feel?
I'm very sad about that. I'm tired of Mal always going down. It makes me feel a little limited in how much I'm gonna have to remember to add to my things since I'm consuming multiple things at the same time.
I just
I'll
made a
still
notepad
remember, but it's
okay,
kind of
okay.
annoying and it's making me want to use AnyList a little bit.
I just have a notepad document that I'm literally just gonna, like, I currently have everything, like, some chapters that I read and episodes that I watched, just the number, because, like, I think I wasn't able to update my previous Aikatsu episodes, so I'm just like, when I can go back to Mal, I'm just gonna set it to the current one, obviously. So it really isn't a hassle for me, but I also keep lists of shit. Like, I was doing it before I found out I used these websites, and so, like, these websites just helped me do it. So I don't know, it doesn't affect me too much, but I did see some. It's understandable complaint about it, especially like, I think it was Dot who was like, he didn't even remember what episode he was on for a certain show, so he literally just, like, didn't watch it for a seasonal, I think. So unfortunate.
Look, I just have too much brain rot from updating my Mal and the little dopamine from fucking plus one episode. Oh wow, I'm on episode 7 out of 12. I'm almost done, and then it takes away that satisfaction.
Vindy's right. Mal has ruined.
No, I know
anime.
it's a bad thing, but it still makes me feel good.
No, I do understand, like, because like, when I when I finished Bakuman, like, I mean, it's on my 3x, now it's a 5x5, honestly, but I did like seeing that, I had it as a 10 out of 10 on my recently read stuff, and then I had it as a favorite manga, which, I mean, Beastars I did add recently there, but until Beastars and Bakuman, I hadn't updated my most recent or favorite manga in a while. I think ever since I took some series off because I was doing the manga favorites reread. So even though it's not quite the same, but it's still just like seeing this public profile display of my favorite manga change, was cool, right? So,
I also feel like I know people say that AnyList looks better than Mal, and like to some extent, yeah, that makes sense. It kind of does, but like I like the profile design of Mal more, to be honest. Like the way AnyList displays favorites, I don't really like that. I don't know. There's just something about the Mal format that I actually think looks better.
No, it's nice that AnyList you can do a lot of favorites as well, but because it's like a sidebar, right?
And it's also like when you put like maybe like 10 favorites or so, you can't see all the favorites at once. Like, I know you can add a bunch to Mal and like you can like do a drop down thing and then you can't see them all, but like you can see a lot more of it at once compared to AnyList. Whereas like on like AnyList, I'm mostly just seeing like part of the anime one and not even like characters and manga until I scroll down, especially if I utilize like how much you can add.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, my use of, or what's it called, my preferred way to display my favorites is going to be my 3x3s or 5x5s or whatever I have, but those aren't like the easiest to, like, my Mal profile. Even if I put it on the profile, like, you're still going to be looking, the profile is still there, right? So, and even if like I don't like how with the manga they changed it sometime a few months ago, where they only show it's the volume 1 instead of just like having a good image. Like for the One Piece one, it was a color spread from before the war with all the Straw Hats posing. It was a vertical spread where you turn your book sideways, and it was a really good image. And now it's volume 1, which is just really bland. And it's volume 1 for every manga, which I guess is fair. Like, it's a consistent thing, but it's also just really boring. So I don't like it. And especially when you get series that are like, so many series change their art style that like volume 1 doesn't necessarily represent the series the best. So unfortunate. I don't like it.
Bro, imagine like, I don't know why this came to mind as an example, but you know that one like witch like axe jump manga thing with like the witch and that guy who had the sword to protect her or whatever?
Oh, Guardian of the Witch.
Yeah, I feel like I always think of that series as something I feel like the art would have low-key just became amazing for some reason. And I just feel like, imagine like representing a volume 1 of that if it kept going compared to what it probably would have been later on. It's not the best example because there's real manga that have actually like improved majorly to mention, but it just makes me think about that for some reason.
No, I gotcha. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about the topic unless we want to shit on Mal some more, which, always welcome, I suppose.
No, I just want Mal to come back. If Mal doesn't come back like this month, I think I'm gonna try to stop using it. That'll be they have until this month to keep me.
It's like your dad taking away your cigarettes and then you have to quit smoking. So I don't know why I used that as an example. That was a weird example. What's the other topic that you explain? Because you have the reasons why too. So just go for it.
Well, the other topic is us literally talking about Toriko because it'd be funny. That's why.
Okay,
the pseudo Nenshow podcast.
Yeah, and basically the context for that is that we were gonna do we did a patron poll for the Nenshow where the patrons pick the series that we're gonna read. It was Toriko. Math was like, yeah, I don't feel good about the series. I can't talk about this in good faith, so I'd rather just not publicly talk about it. So we are doing another poll, and we're reading Hitman Reborn. So I've read 34 volumes of Toriko, but then also Nun and a bunch of other people also started Toriko, and I think we both intend to finish it, but also we haven't read that much of it at the end of the day. So, I guess we're just going to talk about the early parts of Toriko. So, you finished the Regal Mammoth arc, right?
Yeah.
And just that, or...
I'd have to check exactly where the reading I did left off. Because I feel like I'm like... See, I can't just check Mal to know my thing. Every time I read Toriko, I read a volume, so I could just quickly check what volume I'm on. But now I'm not fully sure.
Oh man.
Okay, I think the last volume I read was 5.
Okay.
Which is...
Oh, is that even...
I don't know if this counts as part of the Mammoth thing.
Huh.
Let's see.
Because I thought
that was
still...
Yeah, I think this is still the arc you're talking about, the Mammoth one.
Oh yeah, because if you've read Volume 5, then you're not much farther than me. I've already read the whole series before, but not since it ended. So I'm just pulling up 5 real quick. You've really just read one more volume than me. Yeah, exactly, one more volume than me. So you're still not done, because I think the arc goes a chapter or 2 into Volume 7. So yeah. But yeah, you haven't read Toriko before, right?
Yeah, this is my first time reading Toriko. I think maybe at some point that I don't remember, I might have seen 1 or 2 episodes, but I know nothing more than that of Toriko.
Yeah, as far as the anime, I saw there was a movie that aired shortly before the anime did, and then there's the crossover episodes, because there's one 2-parter it did with One Piece where it was kind of it was one episode of Toriko, a very early episode of Toriko, and then One Piece 597 or something like that. And then there was a 3-way part crossover between it, Dragon Ball Kai, and One Piece as well.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen.
Yeah,
that was my first experience with Toriko.
I didn't care for them at the time, at least. And also, it was an era of Toei where they were probably a bit overstretched, because I also remember them not looking very good visually. Which I think, especially thinking about One Piece at the time period, also didn't look great. Especially, so yeah, I don't have very strong memories of them as far as them being especially interesting or good. They're just, they're crossovers. There's the characters doing their thing. Then I might have read, because there was also a manga crossover between One Piece and Toriko. I might have read that before I read Toriko, but but I have read Toriko in full, and going back to it, I did have this feeling of oh yeah, I remember liking this series, and especially I don't know, maybe it's because a lot of what I've been reading in Jump, because I read every new series. But then I literally read Toriko the first volume basically, and around I think the same day I also read the first volume or 2 of Bakuman, and I just had this feeling of man, Jump in the 2000s was built fucking different. Okay.
Oh my god, that's how I felt.
Right, because I'm reading Hitman Reborn, and hopefully when I get to I'm not loving the first arc.
Oh
but,
my god!
No,
he's spoiling the Nenshow, the real one.
That's right. We haven't talked about Hitman Reborn yet, but I know it's still interesting just thinking about how it's going to become an action series later, and trying to think about how these comedy things might turn into action things, if that makes sense.
There actually are relevant things in daily life. Not to spoil anything, but it's kind of crazy some of the stuff that actually gets referenced back to.
That's what I'm kind of like. That's what I'm interested in. But I can only we'll probably speculate about it in the Nenshow discussion, which you'll get to see as we're two people who have no experience with the series. But if you decide to follow along. But yeah, even just reading Toriko,
I already have. I've been reading.
Gotcha. I had this feeling of like, man, like I honestly think I hate invoking his name, but Shimabukuro is like good at manga. If that like the only gripe I have with Toriko is that like is his art style is personally not my like it's not an art style. I go like yeah like I don't think the art is bad. In fact, I think the art is quite good. It's just like the style itself doesn't personally vibe with me, and also just like some of the humor and is like there's the one character who literally just the whole joke he's a bartender. He just always has shit in his pants and like stuff like that is just a little like. Whatever. But like other than that, like I think he's just like the way he'll just use whole pages and like Toriko has his inner demon. Like he could just like you turn a page, you just get this fucking moment of just like holy shit. Or like the one I remember especially is the Troll Kong, where like the Troll Kong comes up and he's making this horrifying face to try and intimidate Toriko, and then we just see it like zooms out and Toriko's demon is like beyond the Troll Kong alpha, and I was like Jesus, just good presentation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like the weird thing about Toriko is like I feel like if you see artwork just like posted by someone else, it kind of does like not that it looks bad, but it doesn't like look as good as when you're actually reading it, which I know some series can be that way, but with like Toriko especially I felt that way. But when I'm like actually reading it, I kind of it's pretty good art for the most part.
Yeah, no, like that even kind of because there's illustration ability, but then like your an artist's ability to like for flow of pages is also really important, and I think that's like an area that just like because the manga just moves and it's easy to read, and that's really good, right? And again, not even dissing his illustration ability, because I think when he does a page that he wants to have an impact, it has an impact, and I think that's a strength for sure.
Yeah, and like I can kind of honestly appreciate like even though like it's not necessarily always like my favorite thing in storytelling for there to be like a huge array of like original like monsters. Like I can't really get attached to a bunch of like fictional monsters usually. Maybe there's a caveat to that, and there's something that I fucking love the monster designs from or something, and I'm just forgetting. I don't know, maybe the Chimera ants, I guess. But like
sure,
I still can kind of appreciate how many different like fictional foods and like drawings he puts in the series, I guess.
I hate this manga because it makes me fucking hungry. And like the fictional food is so like see, people are always like, why wouldn't you want to live in the world of One Piece? The world of One Piece is shit. No one would want to live there. It's awful. You're either being oppressed by pirates or you're being oppressed by the government, the world government. It's like, well, fuck. You're just choosing who's fucking you in the ass. I want to live in the world of Toriko, where food is really good and you'll never go hungry. And even like this basic bitch ass like capture level 3, oh, a tank can't even kill. Bitch, the capture levels go so high, calm the fuck down. But like the food just sounds really good, and I hate it. Because it makes me want to live in this fucking world, and I just want this food to be real.
Like I can like kind of just like appreciate the idea of putting this much detail into like these random monsters that probably won't all show up again at some point. I don't read like they do the like character monster cards at the end of like the volumes sometimes or something. I don't think I read those. I don't remember reading those, but at least like the explanations in the manga, of course I'm reading that. They're interesting to think about a little bit, especially when it is combining like real food I would have tasted with like just two, I obviously know what soy sauce tastes like. So, just kind of the soy sauce cicadas, I can kind of imagine that somewhat.
Right.
I think the thing that like
go on.
I have gotten the most out of Toriko is kind of just like not nostalgic over this kind of like jump manga, but like it does really highlight the difference between older jump manga that take their time more and are
Yes.
longer form on average versus what we get now. Not that like I'm inherently trying to say that this is better than what we get now, but it's just like this is the kind of Jump manga that I'm used to and that I've personally built a preference toward on average. So it's just been interesting to read Toriko.
No, yeah, I actually was also thinking about that, where how like I mean, even it's like compared to, again, Bakuman, which I'd read started around the same time. Like the first chapter of Bakuman has an arc to it with the main character deciding to draw manga. The first chapter of Toriko just kind of introduces the world, shows off how cool Toriko is, and then he's just like, we're going on an adventure, Komatsu, like, to go fucking kill this gator. Like, there's, in a way, like, they show quite a bit, but at the same time, like, it just kind of is a chapter of manga. And I was just thinking about that and how, like, you know, I haven't seen that at all with any of the series that have started in the last, like, 3 or almost 4 years now. Because I caught up to some of the shorter ones in, I think it was like 2019, maybe 2018. I forget when. I can't even fucking remember any of those goddamn series and what they were called. Even though I have like images of them in my head, you know. But like basically all of them they got right into it. And if I were to argue to posit, you know, not argue a turning point, because like I'd have to go back and read more Jump series from around the time. But I remember My Hero Academia was like Horikoshi's whole thing was that like he got canceled twice before, so he felt like he needed to go in fast from the start, and that became a hit. And so that just sort of put the idea in my head that, like, you know, maybe Jump manga nowadays just need to be fast, right? Where Toriko did decide to take the time and be this long adventure series, and to the point that even just the first chapter like shows off the world and setting and tone very accurately, but like it's not really anything like a lot of these modern Jump series, even the ones that are also action focused and adventure focused. Like Ginka and Gluna would be a fantasy example, and even then its first chapter was very, you know, big and bombastic and climactic and fast in that way. So yeah, no, absolutely. And then yeah, I guess another thing, like so the one thing that I definitely wish we were talking about on the Nenshow for is because the series is so blatant with its influence from Hunter x Hunter, like, which is Matthew's favorite series, that I think it's kind of funny. Like one of the smaller ones is there was like a big gate that reminded me of the gate outside the Zoldyck family estate. Then there was the fact that the gourmet hunters are like exist in Hunter x Hunter, like it's almost like, okay, what if we took that and made an entire series about that? And then oh, that's right, there's like the gourmet identification cards they mentioned in the arena arc, which I remember like that just kind of reminded me, because they mentioned in Hunter x Hunter, well, they bring it up to show that the characters in Meteor City don't have those, but like there's also an important ID card that every character in the setting has. And then there's some bigger stuff later that anyone who's read Toriko will know about, even if maybe even some people haven't read it, but I don't want to spoil it because none hasn't gotten that far. But it's very clear. It's just I don't even know if like which I don't know. I'd have to check some things, but it just makes me think of something also in Hunter x Hunter. It's just I think it's funny that it clearly wears a lot of it, you know, openly, but it's, you know, again, it's not deferent to it. Like, it's still very unique in its own way, but it's also just so blatant. I find it amusing in that way, I guess.
Honestly, I didn't even like put like that much thought into the Hunter x Hunter thing. Like the first chapter, it did kind of remind me of Hunter x Hunter just because of the imagery of Toriko fishing. It's just kind of like the Gone one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I didn't know if it was just outright inspired by Hunter x Hunter, so I didn't really think about it that much. But like, you know, hearing you say it now, it definitely makes like a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been confirmed in any interviews or anything, but like, I feel like I might have even gone into the series thinking of it that way just because of knowing some of the stuff that is later. But like, again, once I saw that, like, if I posted 2 pictures of the 2 gates I'm thinking of, it's I forget which chapter it was in Toriko or even what it was, what arc it was, but you know, there's similarities. There's even like a little side door. A very, very tiny side door at the bottom, like you know, so it just came to mind. But you know, and again, it's not anything negative towards the series. It's just something I was noticing.
I think one thing that like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, as far as like one thing, because I think Dot messaged me and he was like, "Wow, this is gonna be a really boring Nenshow because you guys aren't gonna have that much to say about it." But like, my thought was more like, I just think because obviously a big thing is like like yeah, Toriko kills animals, but he only kills them if he's going to eat them, which was contrasted with the what's it called, the gourmet corp or whatever the bad guys were.
Gourmet corp who use like the GT robots and just
where and
doing shit.
Yeah, they don't value the the difference between Toriko getting the fruit and the GT Robo getting the fruit, where it's like he didn't kill any of the Troll Kongs because he doesn't like how they taste and he's not going to eat these animals. Where they just fucking massacred all the Troll Kongs because they don't give a shit, right? Like this value of life. Well, also like I guess it also reminds me of Monster Hunter in a sense, because like not just like big monsters and hunting things, but also like just how it humanity is part of nature, and it sort of reconciles the treat we eat, kill, and eat food, and so like the way Toriko values and respects life matches that, I guess. And just I don't know, I was just thinking how like it's kind of eating is a shared experience in a way that like, and it's a manga that's focused on something so simple, I guess, if that makes sense. Like just eating and killing and hunting, basically. Like this is literally, hunter-gatherer society. This is how humanity was like founded, right? So, I just thought that like, focusing on this idea was kind of interesting. And it was just a thought I was having, because again, as far as big takeaways, like I didn't even finish the first like the first like longish arc, the Regal Mammoth arc, so I don't have a lot in that regard. I had some vague recollections from the whole series, but obviously, that's pretty distant in my mind. So it was just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, I honestly think like Toriko, like as a character, it's a little bit cooler than I would have expected, just because of like, I think initially, when I knew about Toriko, I was just being a hater. Like I just looked at him in the more tribal like comparison sense of like, oh, he's look at him with alongside Luffy and Goku, like Toriko, who cares about this guy? Like that's kind of more so the viewpoint I would have had on him.
You reminded me sorry, yeah, finish up your thought.
But just kind of like actually reading the series, I do think he's like generally kind of cool, and like I just kind of like how he's depicted. He's like pretty, like he's definitely super chill, but he also just kind of has that like I don't know, he just has that kind of, I guess, edge to him that a lot of these older protagonists have in some capacity. I don't know how to describe it.
He's really confident, but not overconfident. Like that's one thing. Like I remember because he's definitely like he's there's a lot of times where he's just in complete control of the situation. But then, like, there was in the Puffer Whale stuff when the GT Robo came out, and you got that whole page of it, just like scary face, and Toriko and Coco just went immediately like fucking full on 100% danger mode, right? Like, he's not.
Yeah, he kind of like understands his limits and kind of like
exactly
knows when he's not like the star of the show, I guess. Like especially when the like Battle Wolf was like really showing up and stuff, he was like very respectful and very much like. Mm-hmm. Humbling himself, I guess.
No, yeah, that's it. Because I even just comparing him to like what other Jump action characters we've gotten around the time is like, yeah, he is more of an adult and he is more, like responsible and understanding of in a lot of ways that like, like Luffy, he just goes into shit, right? And at the start of the series, especially, like he just kind of doesn't give a fuck. And he's very reckless and gets himself into trouble, even though he's also just really strong, right? Or Ichigo is pretty cool, but he's still a teenager, still a little bit of a tryhard sometimes. I love Ichigo, but he's and just the way Toriko is really different in that way.
I feel like compared to current Jump protagonists, he's more well rounded out the gate, in the sense that like I feel like I guess compared to Deku or something, right? Deku's like very insecure and unconfident and all that, so he has a lot more development that he needs to have. But with Toriko, it's like he's already very developed as a person, so it's gonna be like interesting to see like where exactly he would go as a character, or if he's gonna like not quite change as much.
Yeah, because I don't really remember a lot of like where his character goes. I remember, obviously in some ways he is definitely like not as experienced as he needs to be because the way the setting goes. But what also offers that sort of like sense of growth and progression is you have Komatsu, who he is very new to this world. And,
yeah, I do like Komatsu. Actually,
he has his talent with cooking, but he's obviously like completely out of his depth in some ways, and very much reliant on Toriko. And he is where I especially remember the growth coming from, and as far as like skill advancement, and just becoming more confident and stuff. So so you kind of got the best of both worlds there in that duo. So they're good together. And damn it, I might even go read some Toriko tonight if I have time, because I'm just thinking about it like, yeah, Toriko, it's a cool series. So yeah.
I feel like even in what we've read so far, Komatsu just generally like not being as surprised by all the like crazy stuff going on is like a big change.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like he definitely super trusts Toriko, and I love to see that. And I kind of just like, I like how the other characters see Komatsu in general, where he's just like, him being so normal is very unique to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely like how what's that guy's name, the like beauty guy, Sunny. I like his like dynamic of Komatsu, where like at first he just kind of like dismisses him, but like when he sees like how passionate he is about cooking, he really likes him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also
like that's definitely one of the two, like the dynamic that I'm kind of like the most interested in right now, actually.
Mm-hmm. And it was also kind of neat, like with Coco, where Komatsu just kind of sees him as who he is, like, and tries not he tries not to discriminate against him because of his poison and stuff. So I think I remember that being a thing. I'm not losing my mind, right?
Kind of. I don't remember it being like super emphasized. It's not something that I really paid it that much attention to, but you're probably right. I would have to look at that again.
My note says that he's not shunning Coco, and I also mentioned Komatsu's lack of danger sense, where it's like, Coco's literally just like a poison human, so, if someone were naturally to be like adverse to that, but where Komatsu, if he's, a little lax and doesn't have that sense of danger, then he wouldn't react to Coco that way, I guess. So, that's just what that was in my notes. So, but yeah, I don't remember having a lot more to say about Toriko, at least from just what I've read, rather than what I remember. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it for me. I didn't really I didn't really expect I'd be discussing Toriko, so it's not like I was like taking notes on it or like thinking about it a whole lot outside of when I'm reading it.
And neither of us have actually finished the arc that we're reading, so
yeah.
So anyway, Oshi no Ko, episode 5. This is a good episode. I mean, they all are, but this one I had a lot of fun with. Maybe it was Aqua's really good, but getting more Ruby is also really good. She's a silly. Them watching the reality show and reacting to Aqua was very good.
Yeah, honestly, I realized in this episode that like so far it's been so Aqua focused that like the acting aspect of this show has like completely upstaged like the idol part of it so far.
When you say it like that,
I'm super curious on how they're gonna like turn that balance, because like I'm not gonna just dismiss it and be like, oh, the acting part's more interesting based on like they obviously had more time to explore that. I haven't actually seen what they'll do with the idol thing, but I am much more interested in the acting part of it so far. So
yeah, well, because
it'll be fun to see what happens.
Because the episode did reemphasize like how the acting was important in that for like, because I think Kana mentioned being super talented as an actress as well, and obviously that was the same production where Aqua got noticed. But obviously the idol stuff was generally way more important. And God, I wonder when Ruby and Aqua are gonna end up acting together. That's gonna be something else, because I
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I only just thought about it just now, and I'm like, oh shit, that could be good. Go on.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was a little sad that like Kana, at first, when it was like she decided to go be an idol and stuff, because I liked her acting, especially with Aqua and stuff. But I feel like the later half of the episode was so good that it, like, kind of brought me over. Like, the little interaction she was having with Aqua was just like, that dynamic was really good too. So I wasn't like as opposed to it.
Okay, I gotcha. Because yeah, they've only I guess Aqua and Kana have had a little time together. Where this is really the first episode we've had for Ruby and Kana. So and especially since they're going to be together longer, they'll get more of a dynamic going forward for sure. But I don't remember her name. But the actor girl who said something where it's like her character is all like
P or
Yuki. I think you're right.
Pan?
Yeah, where her character is like all cute and timid, but then like when she's talking with Aqua privately, she's like, maybe I'll kiss you after all, and it's like they're all playing characters. Like it's a reality TV show. They're actors. They know what's up. I liked her is what I was getting at.
Yeah, I also liked her as well.
Oh, and then to finally discuss the elephant in the room, the fucking bodybuilder dude. I don't know how you react when he just fucking comes out, and I'm just like, I'm not sure. It was really funny, and the fact that he just explained everything about collabs, but still in character, even though they were in private, and he had no reason to do that, was like just it was funny. It was good. 10 out of 10.
I think the funny thing about seeing him too is kind of like having at least watched a little bit of like what Japanese YouTube is actually like. He does actually do some of the stuff that I've seen from those channels.
Okay. You know what? Now that you mention it, like I haven't seen Japanese YouTube, but I have seen another character, I guess, inspired by Japanese YouTube. Mirika from Kanojo mo Kanojo.
Yeah.
So that's the. But yeah, now that you bring it up, it's like, oh yeah, I guess they're similar in that way. I guess of just doing
even some of like the editing and like the sound effects. It's like I've seen this kind of thing.
Okay. Oh god, the fucking dance and the fact that they just kept going with it, like that was a not a small part of the episode, of relatively speaking, of just them doing the dance without any narration. It was just the video. It was just a part of the real ass video of just these anime girls in stupid masks dancing with the fucking giant buff dude, and it's the same stupid. It was it was so good.
Yeah, I feel like this episode is like. Not that the other episodes weren't fun, but it has more concentration of just like, this is just fun shit, I feel like.
Well, yeah, especially because like the episode opened up where I think it was Kana mentioning how either Ruby or shit. I wrote down the note. The note I had was just because one of them was recognized as being connected to I or maybe it was the director guy saw Aqua.
Kana like, said that Ruby reminded her of I.
That was it.
Has
okay.
That same energy.
And I was mixing it up with what I fucking realized is that like my question is how long are they going to be able to fucking hide it, because like they're twins who are both remind people of I, and then there's the fact that once their father becomes aware of them, if he isn't already, he's gonna fucking know, and that fucking made me go like, oh fuck, like because Aqua's like, I'm gonna get my revenge. He could know already. Like, Aqua could end up fucking playing into his fucking hands, and he could pull some shit. Like, even just, like, planting, if he recognizes what Aqua's doing with the DNA testing, he could fucking do some shit. And I don't know, maybe he just doesn't pay attention, he doesn't care. I don't know what kind of character he is, but I just had that horrific thought, and I was like, oh god. Aqua, be careful. I can't help you because you're not real. So yeah, it was just another thought I had watching the episode. And yeah, I guess there was also the way that it ended where, Ruby doesn't want there to be any lies. Like, they did the full-ass dance, Like, she's, because the industry is all about lies, but she wants something more honest and genuine than that, like, because she's pure, and Ruby's good. And it's like, I guess the character, Aqua and Ruby kind of work as, like, a dichotomy where, like, Aqua has fully embraced the lies as an actor, but Ruby wants truth as an idol, so I'm kind of curious as to how that will shape up. Maybe there will be like a sort of inverse thing there where Ruby has to sort of like recognize that lies have to be a thing, or maybe she'll be more pure throughout the series, where Aqua might have to find more truth and genuine stuff in his performances. So I don't know. There's some cool things they could do potentially.
Aqua is lying in pursuit of truth, just like Code Geass. Let's go.
It all comes back to Code Chaos.
I haven't been reminded of it in the past couple episodes, but you talking about that made me think of it.
God damn it, it was my fault. Alright, what backlog stuff do you have for this week? How's the gay assing?
I mean, I did finish R1. I could talk about that because it's technically the only thing I finished. But I mean, I
thought you talked about that last week, or no, maybe not.
No,
maybe I just saw you post that you finished it on like Twitter and Discord and stuff, and I assumed that you talked.
Yeah, because I said last episode that I'm about to finish R1, but I'm thinking about waiting till I finish R2 until I talk about it. So I could talk about that. Could talk about One Shot, which is the indie game I'm playing.
Okay.
I did start watching Interview with Monster Girls. I watched like 4 episodes of that. I feel like there was a 4th thing, but I can't remember what it was. I guess Interview with Monster Girls. Whatever.
Okay. What'd you think?
I'm definitely enjoying it so far. I really like how chill the teacher is. Just kind of like...
Oh, he's very good. I agree.
Like, over time, I feel like as each episode goes by, it's just super cool to see, like, how everyone reacts to him just being the most understanding person, like, ever. It's great. It's actually great. And now, like, especially on the episodes that I'm at, all the demis actually know each other to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
So the group's, like, actually formed. The succubus is the best one. I hope you're on the same page.
Okay, see, it's hard because, look, this is literally one of my favorite anime, and the manga is also one of my favorite manga. Like, the entire cast is insanely fucking good, okay? Like, I mean, I love this series a lot. I think it's a cute girls show. How the fuck does it go so hard? Like, I can't even talk about how hard it's insane. Like, even just from what you've seen, like, I like, or hold on, I'm trying, because it kind of goes into like it has its base premise of monster girls are just sometimes born to regular people. You know, they kind of run it as like a disability thing where like they have their, you know, have you gotten into Machi yet? The Dolahan? Like, I assume so. Yeah. So like, she literally just carries her head, and it's this physical thing she has to struggle with, right? And she's sort of has failed to connect with some of her regular classmates because of it, right? And even just the way the demis connect to each other, because they, like, you know, even though they all have different shit, they all they're the same in that they have to deal with these kind of weird things. It just goes into that premise from so many different angles that I think it's really cool. Like, it ends up talking about like the physics of certain things, especially with Machi, and how the fact that, you know, her head is literally severed from her body, or like there's a social aspect with
it also talked about like when what's his name, when the teacher's carrying her head, it makes her motion sick because like normally you would have your neck and like your eyes and certain things make like micro adjustments to like kind of balance yourself out and kind of you know, not get motion sick or have this like disconnect. But if someone's just like carrying you, then obviously there'd be a disconnect. It's not as steady. Yeah,
and like one thing that comes up especially with Hikari is like social pressures, and you know, like they even in general, like he talks a lot with the various students about like the cultural myths about the demi that they are, and sort of like how those might have come about through, you know, just like historical like truth or, you know, fiction and discriminations and stuff. Like, and then there's the what's the other angle? You'll see it especially with the teacher, the succubus one, but like there's like how sort of systemic factors, like, you know, government regulations or mandates regarding demis sort of come into play. Like, it just takes the premise kind of seriously in a way that doesn't detract from the series also being fun, I guess, if that makes sense. And I just think it's a really interesting like take on the it's so sorry, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, I kind of also like how normal it plays the concept at times too, where it's like it's not like super exaggerated, and they're not like they definitely aren't portrayed as like freaks, right? Like they're not like you can definitely see the humanity within them, like very clearly, and I feel like there's no room for like misinterpretation in terms of like, yeah, they're not like inherently like dangerous or inherently like different from others in terms of like who they are at the core, even if like being a demi introduces like new issues in their lives, which I thought is like really refreshing and nice to see.
No, yeah,
like there's no like shenanigans of like, oh, this demi's like freaking out and destroying things, or like we have to come together as the good demis to stop this one or something. Like I definitely feel like that's how some other series would play the concept, where some of the demis are just like insane.
Yeah, there's nothing really with the actual like main characters like that, where I think again the one who had the most effect on other people is Sato Sensei, but like that's also again discussed a lot, and god, she's so good. So yeah, hopefully, or maybe you'll have more to say when you finish it, or maybe you have more to say now and I'm just jumping the gun.
No, I do enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Like, it has like consistently improved every episode, so like I'm curious on how much I'll like it at the end.
Okay, yeah. It's a very good show.
What's your thing?
It's the thing that I've been meaning to talk about for like a month. Not a month, but so yeah, I finished Hoshi no Samidare, which was Lucifer and the Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. That fucking scared the shit out of me. Would your mic even have picked that up?
No, nobody's gonna know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to edit that in, so you have to send me that. God damn it. Where was I? Okay, anyway, Hoshi no Samidare. So yeah, pretty cult popular manga. I mean, it got an anime that apparently wasn't very good or interesting or did enough to, sell it. I don't know. I didn't watch it, but yeah, it's a fun series, for sure, and I like it a lot. It's action series where basically the world is gonna end, so 12 knights have to unite to fight golems and whatever, except the princess, the leader of the knights, is also wants to destroy the world, but she allies with the main character with the plan of like, well, we're gonna save the world so that it's mine, and then we'll destroy it so that it will be mine forever, because she doesn't want someone else to destroy the world. That's hers. So that's why Hoshi no Samidare is Samidare's world is one way to translate the title. There's a few different readings of the title, and they all like some of the, that's one example as far as like that fits the base premise. There's one that comes up towards the end about how it makes I think Summer Rain, I think, but it's the series is just like, it's really solid, and it's like it's pretty like jokey, meta, self-aware, I guess. I feel like it came up in the comment. I forgot who left the comment, but and it was in the expectations episode, because they mentioned about how like they felt like they went into Hoshi no Samidare with the wrong expectations because of the way people talk about it, which I think is fair, because people tend to like anything that like, oh, it's subversive, just deconstruction. They're just fucking children who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, it's still like, it's a good, well written series, and yeah, like I said, it's self-aware, and it pokes fun at itself for doing trope. Like, there's like, okay, so yeah, the main character has an older sister, and there's one part where the main character, he literally is like, I'm at their house right now, I'm going to the bathroom, maybe I'll run into like an accidental pervert moment, and he opens the door, and yeah, he sees her underwear, but also like she's putting on her shirt, so it's kind of like you put on your shirt like it's a hood, it looks really stupid and goofy. So we see this like older character, but like with her shirt awkwardly on her body, and it looks silly, and so it's like, and then there's also another like him being an accidental pervert moment, but for one of the girls, like purposefully, like where he just like was in the bathroom and just so it's self-referential in that way. And then like there's other stuff that it brings up, and like the characters respond to stuff in ways, like there's like a prophecy where one character, because the series is just supernatural in general, like there's just random people they meet who have some weird abilities or powers, and like one of them can see the future, and she saw one character like half buried in the dirt, so like they figured out a way to, or they tried to because it was like, oh, that could be bad. Let's just get that out of the way. They respond to things intelligently. Like it's well written in that way, and it's also just like well written in like more literary ways. With just I like the way like certain symbols and conflicts and like with the main character's hang-ups and stuff, and the way he overcomes them, and the way it works into the fucking finale is super fucking good. And the cast of characters is pretty big. Like it's only 10 volumes, and there are 12 main characters, but I ended up basically enjoying everyone, honestly, by the end of it. Like it manages to be really dense with it, and just the way it handles certain things is really cool and good. The art's pretty good. Mizukami, I think, is the author. He also did Sengoku Yoko and Spirit Circle. That's the other one, which I haven't read. Maybe I'm misremembering the title. I think it's Sengoku Yoko. I haven't read that one. Spirit Circle, I remember liking as well, and I just had the thought, well, after reading it, where it's like, what is that guy up to now? Like, is he doing another manga right now? Because I'm definitely very curious as to like how his stuff's going, because I've enjoyed both the manga I've read of his, yeah, it's just a really fun series. The comedy's good, the character interactions are good. There's good. It's just super all around good and solid, and I liked it a lot. Not one of my absolute favorite manga, but it's still a favorite. It's super good, and I'm glad. I've been brought up earlier in the context of like there's been series that I've liked a lot, and then I go through again, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling it anymore. And I think Vindy even said that it happened with him to a degree, where it's just like he read it first, and I think he said it was like based on where he was in his life. But in my case, like I was sort of like worried going in, where it's like I could see this being one of those series where I just kind of got caught up in the hype of 4chan and just said I liked it a lot and I did, but maybe not as much. But I still really fucking good. I like it. Still like it a lot. Very good manga. Did you want to do one more rotation, or do you want to call it there and do a wrap up?
I could do so if you want to do one more specifically.
Yeah, I can
do.
I can do another rotation.
All right. Guess I'll talk a little bit about One Shot. Maybe that's
okay.
The indie game I'm playing. Essentially, it's kind of like it's one of the meta indie games, I guess. Where this isn't a spoiler, since it literally happens like very extremely early on, like literally the beginning of the game, where like you are a character in the world, like you the player, like the game speaks to you.
Okay.
It's also interesting because like there's stuff where you have to look at the files that it puts on your computer to solve certain puzzles and stuff. Yeah, like it's only just started to get into like some of that stuff, which is why like I understand why the game tells you that it's better to play the game in like windowed mode instead of full screen. Like it recommends you have the game in a window so you can probably access more stuff.
Right.
And I just so far it's interesting to play in the sense of like I want to experience more indie titles just because of like my own possible interest in making my own game, just because like it's cool to see different ways of having a unique system in a smaller scale game, especially with like I guess two of the more interesting game ideas I've had are RPGs. So like I want to see different ways of keeping an RPG entertaining outside of like battles, and also just kind of trying to think of a relatively unique system, just because of like, even though I'll never have like a fully unique system, I feel like a lot of the popular indie RPGs, they try to take something from a different genre and put it in their own spin, where like, Undertale, it takes like bullet hell stuff as the main part of its battle system. So like, I kind of just want to play like a bunch of different smaller scale indie games just to kind of understand them better.
I guess bullet hell would be the main one, but I just remember for the bosses, Undertale kind of like jumps and changes what its battle system is, if that makes sense. Like there's one that's more of like a Galaga shooter, one that's almost like ends up being like DDR,
there's that. I forgot about that.
So and then like then when you're blue, you're it's more of a platformer. So
have you played Undertale?
Yeah, I've beaten it at 100%.
Okay.
I've gotten all the endings. I remember.
Oh my god, this guy's a genocider.
Let's go.
Can we get rid of this guy? I've only done the pacifist route.
No, the true ending is definitely the best one. Like, the genocide one has a really good final boss, but it's also just really fucking tedious and boring to actually, like, do. So it kind of sucks. But yeah. Was that all you had to say about One Shot? Or,
I do think, the main character is a little cat. It's very adorable. I like the game looks pretty simple most of the time, but there's like these occasions where I'll have like a full kind of artwork thing that looks really nice. It's good. I'm pretty early on, so I haven't really actually like seen some of the stuff that I'm assuming will happen and how crazy it will get. Because, like, again, just, like, with it putting stuff in the files, and, like, there was when I was looking for one of the things that I needed to progress, I saw something else in, like, my files that I'm sure will be used later, because it matches the icon of something in the game, and it's, like, it's a whole different application. Which is like an app. Like, I'm gonna have two applications open potentially doing stuff.
Oh, okay. No, yeah,
like that definitely is like, yeah, I shouldn't have the game in full screen.
Also, you mentioned RPGs. Is this a puzzle game, or is it a puzzle and like? Because it sounds like what genre would you call it? If you had
it's definitely puzzle. It's a
okay, gotcha.
Like an RPG adventure puzzle game. Like, not really that much of an RP. I mean, it in more of a loose, I guess, sense of the word. Like, it's definitely a very much puzzle. Because you also, like, one of the main gameplay is, like, finding stuff and combining them. And, like, by combining things, you get to go to new areas or, power something on or something,
Okay. It's called One Shot, right?
Yeah, One Shot.
Is it called One Shot because you only have one chance, or like is it one of those kind of games?
No, you don't only have one. I think it's kind of. I'm not 110% sure on why it's named that way, but I have a good general idea. It's more so like story reasons. It's not really a spoiler, but I don't feel like I have to say it.
That's fine. No, I was just wondering because I have played more like. I think there were more Flash games, but the intent was definitely like they would like keep cookies or something so that you wouldn't you'd go back in. Like, there was one game where it's like the entire game is basically there's like a prisoner, and you the only way you can interface with the game is you can shoot basically. So, and then you kill them and you go back in and try to do it again, and they're already dead. Like, there's nothing you can do, right? So, and then there's games like there's another more adventure game one that has different endings based on what you do. So I've seen games experiment with that. So I just had that. You mentioned it was an indie game, so I thought like, oh, is this guy? And it changes your files. So I was wondering if there's a way to, if it did something like that where you can only play it the once, and that's your one shot basically. So
I mean, it'd be crazy if after I beat the game, it kind of like does some weird stuff if I try to open it. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, it was just a thought I had. So anyway, I last year, a good few months ago, I watched Shin Ultraman, which is the Hideaki Anno and Higuchi Shinji. Basically, I mean, it even starts with the title card of Shin Godzilla before it goes away, and the Shin Ultraman title card comes in. Like, they're basically doing a trilogy, I guess. So I guess, yeah. And if you haven't seen Shin Godzilla, it's also. They're both very, I think, accessible, even if, and they're just good movies, even if you don't know the source material, or even, like, I mean, Godzilla more so is accessible because Godzilla is kind of like a big cultural icon, and even if you've never watched a Godzilla movie, like, you have an idea of what Godzilla is, and you've probably heard the suffix Zilla used to describe something really big, or kaiju, right? Where Ultraman is less, instantly recognizable in that way. But, like, my friend had never watched Ultraman, and he liked Shin Godzilla, and he liked Shin Ultraman as well. And they're not a trilogy in that they connect in any way, but they are basically just, like, taking these old properties and just adapting them and retelling them in a modern setting with, very different visuals, and very much keeping the same ideas as well. and they're both really fucking good movies. Shin Godzilla is one of my favorite movies. Shin Ultraman is insanely good and was one of my favorite movies of last year. Was it my favorite new movie that I hadn't seen before? Maybe I'd have to double check. But yeah, it basically just it takes the 39 episodes of Ultraman, finds a way to squish it down into a movie, does so really well. It's like interesting. There's cool, weird sci-fi shit. It's very good visually. Like it does some really fun stuff. Like in the original Ultraman show, there's like a little like prop Ultraman that they use to represent him flying around. In the first one, you could even see the wires. At least you could in my download. And they kind of use a CG model like that that's very stiff. Like normally he could be very well animated, but then he'll sometimes will just fly around in that same kind of like model with his arms sticking out. And at one point he does like a spin kick on a monster, like he flies down in that model and then he like flips and kicks the monster in the chin. It was fucking awesome. Okay, like the movie it adapts Ultraman really well and like keeps a lot of its ideas, and it also just has a big silly silver red man just kicking the shit out of monsters, and it's fucking cool. And especially now there'd probably be better subtitles than there were, because it was hard subbed when I watched it, because I watched the first available download on Nia. But yeah, it's just super good. I'd recommend it, and Shin Godzilla as well, again, even if you have never seen either Ultraman or Godzilla, just because. And I'm also very interested in it. I saw like the trailer, or it was like a quick, not that the first 20 minutes are subbed and available, but I'm waiting on those. But I did see like a 3-minute clip of Shin Kamen Rider, which is supposed to be airing this year, and that was kind of intense. So I don't know, they're good movies. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm most interested out of those in Shin Kamen Rider, just because it is. I mean, I did watch those Ultraman series when you did those like Discord streams, but like
it was Nexus and Orb.
I
right?
feel like I have a little bit better of an idea of what Kamen Rider is, at least the original one. Oh, you read the
manga. That's right.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say like because like the original Godzilla, I think is it's a good movie. Like the ideas are really good. Even if it's the experience of watching it isn't my favorite, but I get it has its vision and it nails it basically. The original Ultraman is a bit of a slog, but again, it's still got some good narrative stuff going on. I've not watched the original Kamen Rider. The manga, I guess it was fine. A little dry. We stretched out our discussion of that as far as we fucking could. The show is 100 fucking episodes. Like, it sounds like I tried watching V3, which is apparently just better than the original Kamen Rider, and it's the worst. My least favorite Kamen Rider. One of my least favorite Toku. I do not like V3, and the fact that the original Kamen Rider is just longer and more boring is agony to me. So I'm very much looking forward to the movie, because even just the few minutes that I've seen are already like better than all of V3. So and it was just a fucking dude punching some guys in the fucking forest and turning them into blood spatters. Like, it was super violent. I was like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I don't know. Looking forward to Shin Kamen Rider.
You said they were like a trilogy thing. Would you? I know they're probably not like actually connected, but like, would you still recommend watching the other like Shin, Godzilla, and Ultraman before Kamen Rider, or does it really matter?
I don't think it matters. Like I said, it's kind of a trilogy in the same way you have like the Cornetto trilogy or the Depression trilogy, where they're just like, they're movies that are more similar, I guess, like in that they're from the same creator and there's maybe some like more thematic similarities, but it's not actually, they're not actually connected, if that makes sense. And I also, as you said that, I remember seeing a piece of fan art not too long ago, because technically another part of this group would be Shin Seiki Evangelion, where it's because they all start with Shin, which is easy to forget because we usually refer to Eva by its English title, which is Neon Genesis, which is completely made up.
Yeah, I actually saw that when I was looking at AnyList, because Mal went down, so I was like, oh yeah, it is called this in Japanese.
Yeah, so I kind of forgot about it until you mentioned it, but yeah, so there's, it's these major works, that Anno was involved in all start with Shin. So, and of course, we talked about 3.0 plus 1.0. Like, it goes Toku as fuck. So, and even just like Anno is such a fucking nerd that like there's so many details. Like, so when I was poking around for Shin Godzilla, there's one part of the movie where it cuts to a bunch of different cities and you hear announcers, warnings and stuff like that, and someone mentioned that apparently they got the actual city announcers for those cities to do the lines about evacuating for like which is just such an absurd level of detail that like Anno's such a fucking nerd, dude, and Higuchi and the fucking creative staff. So yeah, I'd highly recommend just forget the rest of the franchises. Okay, don't. But there's some good stuff in there. But also, yeah, Shin Godzilla and Shin Ultraman go fucking hard. So watch them.
I feel like since I've already at least seen a little bit of Ultraman, I read the Kamen Rider manga. I'll probably just like at least watch a Godzilla film since I've already done most of the. I've already seen the other two a little bit before. Okay. Experiencing the Shin ones. Okay. But like,
I'm trying to think of because as far as like the original is an option because it is. I think aspects of it still absolutely hold up. Aside from that, I think what's a popular one? What's it called? Final Wars. Yeah, Final Wars is one. It's anime, but there's also Godzilla SP, which is really cool. That's one of my favorite Godzilla things. The American movies, especially the first Godzilla is just really boring, but King of the Monsters is also that it's like that, and Godzilla SP are like my second and third favorite Godzilla things after Shin Godzilla. There's a pretty big gap, but I'll give it to it. It was this one thing though, it was good. So the other movies I don't like as much, but they're okay usually. The first Godzilla 2014 was really boring. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out Godzilla, that's just my personal thoughts, feelings on some of this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anything for next week?
I really don't know because I'm definitely not going to be done with R2 because I need to read the so Taniguchi had like an original script for episode 26 of Code Geass, which is episode 1 of R2. So that's kind of something that people talk about. So I want to read that before I actually watch R2.
Right.
And also I have to listen to those 16 I'm listening to the actually I really have to listen to 8 from R1 and then I'll watch R2 and then listen to the R2 ones, which is 8 commentaries. So I have to finish those before I move on.
Okay.
I did watch one of them. It wasn't as bad as I was pretending like it was going to be. I was actually pretty into it.
Oh yeah, no. For context, the whole reason Nun started interviews with Monster Girls is because you asked me because you weren't sure if you could find the commentaries on Nya, so you asked if I could find them on another site, and I just checked. I found them, and I was like, are these releases on Nya? And I found them, so I was like, yep, here you go. And then you saw that there were 16 that you had to check out instead of just single videos, and you're like, oh, yeah, that just killed my desire to watch these. So give me I think you were asking some other people for a cute girl show to watch, and I was just like, have you seen this one? And you're like, no, and now you've seen 4 episodes of it. So yeah.
Yeah, it was killing my desire to gay ass because it was just like I didn't expect the commentaries to be the same length as an episode. So that's 16 that's 16 episodes of anime I could be watching.
Well, yeah, you went until we rewatched Code Geass expecting it to be 52 episodes, and instead it's 68 episodes basically, plus a script of an episode that didn't air, right? So
yeah,
or it was readapted rather to be a first episode rather than a last episode. But yeah.
And really with the commentaries, it's like I'm only looking for specific information. So it's like I'm listening to a lot more than what I'm actually looking for. But because I think a lot of what I'm looking for too is in particular, it would probably be in the R2 commentaries. But I mean, I'm already watching them, so I might as well find out as much as I can just because I want to know.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess I'm more at this point. I'm interested in seeing what the fuck you want to find out. So even if it's probably, I mean, I don't know.
It's really more so related to like what people talk about how R2 was originally supposed to go, and like things that were cut out of the final version. But like to some extent, I do know there's truth to it, as I've like kind of been reading interviews, and I talked a little bit with some person in a Code Geass Discord because I was trying to figure out where to find out certain things. So I do know there's a little bit of truth to it, but I do think it's also exaggerated to the extent of which that like R1 in and of itself, that people don't complain about being rewritten and stuff, has undergone a lot of rewrites and a lot of changed plans. So like that's just a consistent thing among Code Geass. It's not an R2 particular thing.
Yeah, it's also probably not unusual in production in the first place, right? You know, so of series and stuff, like just changing ideas and plans. You know, I feel like that's pretty normal. You know, though I was just gonna say like that's journalistic integrity. Like they're going to the fucking pits of degeneracy and gay-assing for knowledge, to find weird internet gurus who just know all their shit. So I love it.
Yeah, because with the older anime, it's like it's literally just like you have to know a guy to know where to find certain things. Because there was no way I would have known to check the audio commentaries to know that, like, for example, one thing people talk about is like Rolo wasn't a planned character, and apparently they say something like that in the commentaries, like he wasn't initially part of the initial idea of what R2 is.
Right.
How the fuck would I know that? And there's also like some information from like, you know, end of episode previews, right? I mean, of course you do, but there's like alternate versions where the characters announce them, and apparently that's where some other stuff is. I haven't found those yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do if these audio commentaries I'm listening to don't have every piece of information I'm looking for. I'm gonna have to track down those too. Even if they do, I probably will try to find those too, but like it's still some stuff I wouldn't know to go out of my way to listen to. Okay. The gay ass thing doesn't end. I'm trapped.
Sounds good. The gay ass, eternally gay. So anyway, I'm not quite finished with it. I have 3 volumes left of Boku no No, which I'll very likely be discussing next week. I'm getting dry as far as like stuff I went through last year that I still want to talk about. So you know, don't know if how that's gonna go in the future, but we will see.
How close are you to finishing your favorite reread and rewatches?
Let me check, because how I planned it is if I read 2 volumes a day, I can finish by the end of the year pretty comfortably, like maybe even by November. I still have probably like 200 plus volumes, maybe 300. I'd have to recount it for sure. The longest series I have is Kaiji, which is like 65 plus volumes. Then it's Berserk, which is 40 plus. So just right there is 100 volumes. So yeah, it's probably closer to 300, but it's still, I feel like I'm still, you know, comfortably in the range of finishing it. I'm just, you know, I'm also kind of waiting on some series, like especially like battle shonen series, because it's like, you know, I don't know how fast we'll get through Nenshow stuff, but and the patron poll's always an option, because like Vinland Saga is one I've been I liked it in high school, so I've kind of been wondering how I'd feel about it now. But that's technically a series we can read on the Nenshow, because it's an action series that ran in a shonen magazine at the start, even if it did change magazines. You know, so if that was a series that we ended up reading, then you know, it'd be, you know, I could reread it on the Nenshow instead of rereading it for my favorites reread. And then Plunderer was actually on the poll for the patron pick, even though it didn't do well, you know. So yeah, and then I just have them divided up, because I think the ones I'm going to read next are just generally the ones that it's been the longest since I've read, and then I have another section for series that are like I've read more recently, so I'm just like putting those off a little bit longer. Like the last series I'm going to read no matter what is JoJolion, because I literally read that like a year or so ago with Vindy. So it's, you know, even to finish off the JoJo reread. So, but yeah, I'm getting there for sure. Yeah, I think that about covers it. So somehow this episode ended up being longer than some of our other recent episodes with all three of us. But I guess that's how it is sometimes.
It's mostly the 2 rotation, I think.
That's a big part of it for sure. But anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.